Hello everybody and welcome to episode 35 of Customers Who Click. Today I've got Fiona Stevens, the head of marketing at Loyalty Line, with me to talk about loyalty programs and how businesses can get the most value from them. I've spoken out about loyalty programs a few times over the last year, mainly around how lots of them don't really build loyalty and engagement. They're not implemented well, and so customers aren't actually encouraged to spend more or engage more with the brand. They just eventually get a discount when they happen to have accumulated enough points. A good loyalty program will provide a massive ROI by generating repeat business from customers, improving their lifetime value, but also boosting the company's performance in other areas. But before I spoil it all, here's Fiona to explain how you can run a powerful loyalty program. Hi Fiona, thanks for joining me. Can you tell us a bit about yourself, a bit of your background, and why you do what you do at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me. So I've been working in marketing for over a decade now, which is terrifying, actually. But I've been specialised in retail and particularly e-commerce for around about the past 7 years. I've worked in-house for a whole load of agencies, including SEO, content, PR. So worked in a lot of different kind of facets. But as I say, been specialising very much in e-commerce and retail for the past 6 or 7 years, and then loyalty within that for about 5 now. And I love doing what I do because it never gets any less interesting. Marketing never gets any less challenging, and it changes so much, which is just really amazing and exciting. But specifically in the e-commerce space, I love the way that platforms like Shopify and BigCommerce have made it so that anybody can open an e-commerce store, from the Gymsharks of the world to kind of your nana who's knitting crochet. I think it's a really amazing thing that e-commerce is so accessible. And I think certainly I and probably a lot of our partners in the space do what we do because we want to help all of those smaller stores be as successful as high street stores that have all the resource in the world behind them. I think it's just such an interesting space as it grows.
Absolutely agree. I see quite a few posts on LinkedIn about how people have literally just set up a store during lockdown and started selling because they've got a hobby or an interest, or I think some people got furloughed and so they're sat at home thinking about what to do, and they kind of see this little gap in the market or whatever, or a little opportunity, and it takes like 5 minutes to sign up to Shopify. Obviously a bit longer to set up the store, but you can get going, and there are so many kind of plugins and apps that you can use. You don't need access to a developer team or an agency to build it for you.
No, you don't. And it's amazing as a marketer, but it's also amazing as a consumer. We've got just so many more things that we can get involved with and buy from now as a result of that.
Yeah, and so many more like cool little brands that are popping up because they can. And like they don't need hundreds of thousands of pounds to get a website built and all their stock and everything. And even the stuff around it, the fulfillment and things like that, it's now so easy to outsource things and just kind of have everything handled, really, if you don't want to or can't. And lots of stuff is done on performance as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the barrier to entry is just so much lower. I think things like print on demand means, you might have a fantastic idea for a t-shirt. You don't have to go out and buy 1,500 of those t-shirts and hope for the best anymore. You can just see how it goes as you set up and see which things sell better, and you don't have to make that initial outlay. I think it's a huge game changer.
Yeah, especially for people who are more creative as well. More on the creative side, I mean. They can literally just churn out t-shirt ideas, stick them on the website, see what sells, and just start, focusing on that particular style or theme. That you don't have to worry so much about the marketing side if you don't want to, or you're not really that sort of person. You can get quite a basic setup done just by installing a few apps, almost like following their best practice on how to do a few bits, or that basic setup. And then you take it to a next level if you want to later.
Yeah, and I think the content out there is amazing as well now. You could follow just a few YouTube videos, read a few how-to guides, and you'd be an expert in minutes. It's fantastic. Well, I mean,
in the interest of
not an expert,
keeping our work going, not an expert, but yeah, you can do pretty well.
Yeah, you can get the basics.
Yeah, cool. Let's talk about loyalty schemes then. Obviously, Loyalty Line is a loyalty scheme provider. I've not had too much experience with them myself. But yeah, do you want to tell us a bit more about loyalty schemes and kind of how they work now and who they work for, why they're important, and what do customers want from them?
Yeah, absolutely. I think loyalty programs in general have a slightly bad reputation. Things like frequent flyer programs of the past, Tesco Club Card, Boots Advantage. Traditionally, all these things have been quite difficult to use, but even more important, it's been really difficult to see where you get the value from. You know that you hand over your card at the checkout and it gets scanned, but it takes a long time to build up any kind of meaningful points balance. And actually, when you do, it's not very easy to understand how to redeem that points balance. So I think there's a bit of a legacy reputation going on, which makes consumers a little bit nervous of loyalty programs. I think up to now, they've always been seen as purely points prizes and discounts or freebies. And of course, there's an element of that. Every loyalty program has to run on a points basis, whether it's sort of at the front end and really obvious or whether it's more exclusive and hidden. But I think it's far more than that. The loyalty program it's a way to encourage the next purchase and keep customers engaged. It's a way to get them coming back more frequently and spending more with you. But it's also a way for a brand to connect and build a long-term relationship with their customers, to actually create a community around a loyalty program. I think that's what's really important to today's consumers. And more, they want to shop with brands that deliver really personalized experiences and make them feel like individuals rather than just another person that you're mass marketing to. And they want to shop with brands that stand for the same things as them. So it could be sustainability, it could be animal welfare, it could be veganism. There's hundreds of causes. Whatever your particular cause that you care about is, as a consumer, more than ever, you want to know that brands are doing what they can to support those causes. And a loyalty program is a really great way to actually demonstrate what you stand for and to show customers that you care about things and that you care about the same things. Obviously, it's worth just noting that a loyalty program will work better for some brands than others. It's not necessarily a solution for everybody. The higher your purchase frequency, the more you're going to be able to get people to come back and engage regularly. So whilst it might work perfectly for a beauty or a supplement brand, if you're selling mattresses and somebody only engages with you once every 7 years, you're going to find a loyalty program a little less effective. So definitely not a blanket solution for everybody. But if you've got a high frequency product and you've got a community of customers that really care about the same things, then it's a fantastic solution.
Yeah, absolutely. I do kind of agree with you what you said at the start about people don't really know what to do with their points and things. Tesco I've always found quite good because they've always mailed me a voucher every, I don't know how frequently it was, like every quarter or something. But now what I find really interesting is, I don't know if they've changed the model or if this is just a new thing they're doing, but now you see Club Card price in their stores. So if you scan your Club Card when you're completing your purchase, checking out. I mean, I keep using the phrase "completing your purchase" because when I write the right content, that's the phrase I use. When you're checking out, you scan your Club Card and it will discount all those products that have a special Club Card price. And I really like that because you can see the discount that you're getting right there and then, and you feel like you're benefiting from that Club Card. And what's really interesting actually is my flatmate works for a company that deals in kind of loyalty schemes and the data side for supermarkets. And he said, actually, this is something that's not worked in the UK before. Like some companies have tried it in the past and it's just never worked. And apparently it's because we as consumers prefer seeing things on the shelves which say buy 3 for the price of 2 or buy 1 get 1 free. Like we like those sort of messages. So it'd be interesting because there must be a reason they've brought that back.
Absolutely. That's really interesting because I think as consumers, you like to feel like you're getting something that something special, something different, something that other people aren't necessarily getting. And I think I agree with you. I really love what Tesco's are doing. I've been making use of it myself. And there's just this lovely feeling of when you see the price drop in the till, you think, oh, that's nice. I'm getting something back.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing to try and emulate. The buy one, get one free and the 3 for 2s, they drive me mad because you end up with 3 washing up liquids in your cupboard when you really don't need them. Things like that. So I think it's far better to understand what your customers actually need, and then to give them that feeling of sort of instant gratification.
It'd be interesting to see if they end up doing anything with the data from an obvious to the consumer point of view. So do they see people buying, like if you've been on Clubcard for ages, like I have, do they see that now I'm buying more products that have special Clubcard prices, or has my buying behavior not actually changed? And then seeing how that affects maybe the vouchers or whatever they decide to send me.
Absolutely, yeah.
Or whether they're literally just data mining and using it to work out what to put on their shelves and things.
Yeah, you have to keep us posted on that one.
but yeah, the other one was Nectar, which I've spoken to a few people about. I don't think anyone knows what Nectar points actually do.
Honestly, I have a Nectar card that's linked to about 3 different addresses ago, and they made it so difficult for me to change the address on the account to get a new card sent to me that I have not used a Nectar card since. It's just too difficult. And as you say, it's too difficult to understand what you're collecting for and how to do anything with it.
How to collect it for, but also, obviously, well, I say obviously, from what I remember, it started with Sainsbury's and then went out from there. And then there is a proper set of companies that that you can collect points from and claim points with. But one of the problems is you don't really know which companies they are, and you don't want to pull your Nectar card out at every company just to see whether they'll give you points. So for me, that was one of those things that made it a little bit worse, because I didn't feel like it was a loyalty scheme for any particular company, which meant I didn't think it was for any company really.
I think that's very, very fair feedback.
But yeah, completely agree about the company values and things. Like, there's so many opportunities to get people to engage with the brand more, and just kind of nudge them in the direction that will get them to do that. So hopefully you're not going to talk too much about this later, but things like, if you get them to follow your Instagram account in exchange for some points, and they do that, and then they start to really get exposed to those values that the company has. So you'd have to do your social media accounts really, really well as well, to get the value from it. But those sort of things should work really well.
Completely. And I think the key point from what you just said as well is making sure that customers know it's not all about purchases. So if you can give people 6 or 7 different ways to engage with your brand that you will reward, that are completely outside of a purchase, whether that's following on social channels, whether that's liking and sharing your content, whether it's leaving a review, making a referral, even just having a birthday, things like that. If you give customers lots of different ways to collect a points balance that aren't linked to just spending money with you, they're instantly going to be more engaged, and they're going to build up a far nicer relationship, where rather than just, hey, here's 20% off, come and buy from us, it's, hey, build a relationship with us.
Yeah, exactly. And kind of links in with the data conversation that I had on episode 1, actually, about how customers will give you data that is useful to the business if they can see the use for it and they agree with that use. So the obvious example is stuff like food. If you've got allergies, or if you're vegan or vegetarian, if you share that information with, or if the brand asks for that information, because they say, we want to let you know, like, so before we jumped on the recording, you mentioned you got your Gusto delivery. So if they said to you, fill out this form, and you answered, yes, I'm vegan, and because they said, we will let you know of vegan recipes or new vegan products that come out, there's, you know what you're getting in exchange for that information. So you're going to hand it over, and it increases your engagement with that brand.
Absolutely. It's all about that value exchange. People are so happy to give up their data if you're going to use it well, if you're going to use it to personalize experiences, to deliver better content, anything like that. then yeah, people are more than happy to share, but as long as they understand what they're going to get in return.
Yeah, exactly. There's no point just asking for everything. So are there any kind of myths and misconceptions around loyalty schemes, but obviously from a brand and marketing point of view rather than consumers?
Yes, absolutely. There are a few, actually. I think the first one that we come up against most often is the idea that a loyalty program has to be really expensive to run. People think that, the more points you give away, the more rewards you have to give away, and you're just going to be losing money. It's really not the case, because each time somebody redeems a reward, each time somebody makes another purchase with you and uses a reward in that purchase, their customer lifetime value is growing. And because you're going to be bringing them back for more and more purchases, they're going to cover the cost of that loyalty program extremely quickly. And the other thing is we're seeing so many more brands using experiential rewards now. So collect enough points and you can join this exclusive tier, or we'll give you early access to sales, things like that. And those are things that you can use as rewards with absolutely no financial impact at all. So yeah, I think the first one, the idea that it's very expensive to set up a loyalty program is a big misconception. And then I think the second thing would be the idea that it's incredibly complex to set up. You have to have an entire loyalty strategy in line before you do anything. I don't think that's the case at all. I think you can start really small and then you can grow. I think the only thing you need to know before you launch a loyalty program is how are you tying it to your brand in terms of its name. And it's really that simple. You want it to complement your brand, so you need to get the name right in the first instance, but then you can start small, you can build it, you can adapt it. You could literally start by just rewarding purchases and birthdays and leave it at that. That could be all you start with. And then a few months later, you can add on reviews or add on referrals, things like that. It doesn't have to be an all singing, dancing approach right at the very outset. And I think people find it very intimidating as a concept, and they see things like Nectar and Clubcard and they see these huge machines and think that they have to emulate that, and it's just not the case. You can start with something extremely simple and then grow it. I think cost and complexity are the two that we talk about the most with our customers, I would say.
Yeah, it makes sense, really. Those are obviously two of the easiest ways of putting people off even looking at it, aren't they? If you think it's expensive and you think it's going to take loads of your time to come up with the program, implement it, run it, it's way too easy for people to say, just forget it. Like we're not going to be able to get around to that. Or when, I don't know, like developers or someone get involved and say, we haven't got the time to implement this. And actually it's so early when they say that, because they're almost just heading it off.
That's a very good point, and that takes us full circle back to what we were saying at the beginning. You don't have to build your own loyalty program anymore. That development cost just isn't necessarily there. Obviously, depending on how sophisticated you want to make it, then yes, you need to start bringing in your tech team. But at the very outset, there are so many apps out there that you can just plug in and have something on brand that is up and running and rewarding your customers in literally minutes.
And I guess that's what we were talking about right at the start, wasn't it? It's nowadays, whatever you want to do in marketing, there's some sort of app for it, app or widget or plugin for your website. And some of them might be quite basic. Some of them you have to pay a lot of money for to get the much better options and features. Some, you will have to do a bit of dev work yourself, but only if you want to make it that really complex, well, not over the top, but a more complex program that maybe works for your brand a bit better. But like you say, you don't have to.
Yeah, and I think marketers should feel really empowered by that, because I know for myself, every time I try and, I think, maybe we should do this on our website. And then I think, I'm not a developer, I don't know how to do that on a website. Or maybe we should do this to connect our CRM to that. And it is very scary as a marketer, because those aren't the technical skills that we have. So I think it's extremely empowering that there are the tools out there that you can only necessarily get it to a certain point without a little bit of help, but you can get it to quite a high level these days. And loyalty is no different.
Yeah, exactly. So if someone wanted to get started with a loyalty scheme, or I guess potentially if they were reviewing something that they felt wasn't working. But let's go with if someone wanted to start from scratch. What are some of the key things they need to consider?
It's a good question. I think the first thing to consider is, do you actually have a view of who your most valuable customers are? So, you can segment your customer base into, we tend to think of 3 different segments. You've got your loyal customers who come back, they purchase again, they spend more money over time. Then you've got your at-risk people who actually they haven't come back in the time frame that you might have expected. They're not cold. They still know who you are, but they haven't come back and made that next purchase. And then you've got the people who shopped from you once and then churned. And understanding who those most valuable, most loyal people are is really important if you're going to get started with the loyalty program, because that's where you should focus your marketing efforts. Those are the people who will have the highest lifetime value, and they'll bring you the biggest ROI from a loyalty program, because their customer lifetime value will just continue to grow with an implementation of a program or scheme. But then also your at-risk people are really important, because as I said, they're not cold at all. You could win them back really easily with just a few extra points or putting them up a tier in your program or something like that. So I think the first thing is to understand those segments so you know exactly where to focus your loyalty marketing when you do get started. And then I think going back to Nectar being too difficult to understand the benefit, you would need to consider when you get started, how difficult are you making it for members to benefit? If it takes them too long to earn a reward, they won't keep engaging. They won't see the benefit. They won't equate it to actually helping them with the next purchase. So they'll stop engaging. And also, does your program have enough simple ways outside of purchase to earn points? So we've kind of covered this already, but is there enough in your program that's giving people a boost and a feeling of aspiration, like their points balance is growing continually? And you can have things like double points weekends to get people going again. You could use something like a double points weekend to appeal to that at-risk segment, for example, and just help them get a bit of a boost to their points balance and get them coming back for that next purchase a lot sooner. And I think the final thing I would say to anyone who is about to get started is it's all about branding. Are you communicating your brand effectively within your program? So is your program named in a way that's consistent with your brand? So for example, one of our customers, one of our clients, Skinny Dip, has Skinny Dip Airlines as their loyalty program. And then their tiers are all around things like Takeoff, the lounge, that kind of thing. So making sure that all your naming's in line with the brand, that your program's designed in your brand colors. And then if you can, making sure that your points and rewards and things match your brand values, then even better. But I think, knowing who your most valuable customers are, making sure that people can easily benefit from the program, and making sure it's completely on brand are the 3 things to watch out for.
Yeah, completely makes sense. I mean, if particularly making it easy to use and benefit from it. If you're the sort of business which, if you have a low purchase frequency, if people buy from you once a year, maybe once every 6 months, if it's really difficult to earn the points to get a reward, pretty much in that first interaction, that first purchase, you're not going to build that loyalty. You're not going to get that. You're not going to incentivize that second purchase quicker than they would normally do so. Whereas after that first purchase, if you then say, you've, created an account, made a purchase and opted into the newsletter, therefore you've got enough points for a 10% discount. That might be something that then makes them come back in 6 months instead of 12.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or potentially even quicker. Or they might just immediately use it and say, well, there's another product that actually I was looking at, so I'll buy that as well. Or maybe they buy some accessories or something different from the product line that they wouldn't have bought normally.
Absolutely. And actually one of the things we really recommend doing is when somebody joins your loyalty program, you can reward them points in exchange for their sign up. Make that a big reward. Make that something that you can instantly use again. If you give them enough points just for joining, they're going to come back and use that reward really quickly.
Yeah, it's the first step in kind of gamification, really, isn't it? Even though it seems like such a basic thing to do, like why should you get rewarded just for joining the reward scheme? it's because it works. It's kind of, you're congratulating someone for taking that first step. If you don't congratulate them, then it's up to them to kind of push themselves through to get that to that second step.
Absolutely. I think it's congratulating them. I think it's also kind of thanking them for taking a punt on your brand, thanking them for making a commitment to your brand, which I think is a really nice thing. And I think aspiration is really important. I don't know if you had the same thing, but when I was a kid, there was a money box that the building society or the bank gave me, and you started putting your pocket money in, and you started putting your the money from the tooth fairy and things like that, and you saw you'd kind of get your money out and you'd count it, and it would be really exciting because you'd see that balance increase. And as kind of grown up tour shopping, I don't think it's any different. I think people love seeing that points balance accumulate. They love to feel like they're working towards the next reward, the next tier in the program, unlocking the next benefit that they can get. And it's very interesting psychologically. There's two schools of thought. I think there are the people that like to watch their balance build up and will leave it for a long, long time. And then there are the people that just love to spend it over and over again. But I think, we shouldn't underestimate how much people like that feeling of accumulation and aspiring to a bigger points balance.
Yeah, and I think it's it's also the kind of intangible stuff as well. Like you said, like the tiers, like just an email to letting someone know that they've gone up to the next tier in your loyalty program is just something that it kind of means nothing in a way. Like it doesn't really do anything, but it's this congratulations. It's like a little award, like an award or a medal. They've got to that next tier, which, all right, you can, I guess you'd then, you kind of reward people for being in that tier a bit differently. They get access to some extra benefits. But just by highlighting that, it's kind of, it gets people excited. And then obviously they'll probably log in, check what extra benefits they see, they receive. And that might even then just trigger another purchase. Or some, maybe not a purchase, but some other interaction with the business.
100%, yeah. And a lot of the people, a lot of the tiers we see have things like free shipping and that kind of thing as the benefits as you get higher up the tiers. And that can be that can sway a purchase decision really easily.
Free shipping is a really, really powerful one. It's very, polarized opinions on it.
Yes.
Especially when you combine it, if you kind of give it away on any purchase, and also if you have a free returns policy, you are kind of encouraging people to just buy anything. And if they don't like it or change their mind, they can just send it back, which is great from a consumer point of view.
Not so good for a retailer.
Gets quite expensive for a retailer. So
yeah, and that comes back to the point of being able to segment your loyal, valuable customers. Tiers is a really easy way to do that. If you offer free shipping only to people who've purchased over 5 times, or only to people who've spent over X number of pounds or dollars, or over X have accumulated over X number of points, then you're only outlaying that cost on the people that are your most valuable customers and where you will see the return.
Yeah, I suppose you're taking a calculated risk on it.
Yes,
You're banking on the fact that this group of people is going to be more valuable to the business than the cost that's going to be involved with it.
Exactly, yeah.
So what are some of the big or most common mistakes you see when brands try implementing a loyalty scheme?
I think there are two things that I see people commonly. I'm not sure that I'd call them mistakes. I'd call them hugely missed opportunities. I think the first one is people see loyalty programs entirely as a retention tool, but actually they're an extremely cost-effective way to acquire new customers as well. So there are two ways of doing that. The first is, reviews. We know that all consumers read reviews before they make purchases, even more so right now when we're not shopping in store. Reviews have probably never been more important. And if you can use your loyalty program to incentivize your customers to leave reviews, you're going to build up that bank of user-generated content, and you're going to easily convert new customers. The more kind of commonly understood element would obviously be referrals. you get your loyal customers to recommend their friends and family. That's a far more cost-effective way to get new customers through the door than PPC advertising or your kind of traditional acquisition channels. And actually, the customers that you get being referred to you are far more likely to convert because they've already got an existing level of trust in your business. Somebody that they know has given that recommendation. That's half your hard work done. That's the initial first impression out of the way. So I think, the first kind of missed opportunity that we see a lot is people thinking purely in terms of retention rather than, okay, how can I actually use a loyalty program to get new customers as well? And then the second thing is seeing a loyalty program as a standalone activity or a siloed activity. I think people forget that your loyalty program can actually connect a lot of your other tools and technologies as well and add a bit of power to them. So we just talked about reviews, for example. As I said, if you can incentivize reviews, you're going to get a lot more of them. So how have you connected your loyalty program and your reviews technology? How are they working together? What trigger emails have you got going out? That kind of thing. Or thinking about your help desk, for example. If you connect your loyalty program and your customer support reps, then anytime a consumer has a slightly sticky situation, they could be giving a reward or bumping up a tier or doing something to sweeten that situation. And again, you're just sort of using your loyalty program to power up a different technology or a different part of your marketing strategy. I think that's another really missed opportunity, is seeing it as a very siloed standalone activity when actually you should be looking at how can it drive other areas of your marketing as well.
Yeah, I really like that. Obviously, it's a really powerful retention tool, but it's also almost like a supporting tool for all the other channels and enhances those as well. So like you said, you can generate reviews through it. You could send people to social media. It can link up with customer service as well. And I like this idea of kind of delighting customers as well, which is a topic that I'm hoping. Well, in fact, I think it will be up on the podcast a bit later at some point. With this idea of the company that I'm going to be talking to, they've just given, if I understood it correctly, they've given their customer service agents something like a £200 budget each per month or something, which they can use to kind of surprise and delight any customers. And with a loyalty program, you don't have to use a monetary kind of reward to delight these people. You could just give them points.
Absolutely. Or, a bonus points on a particular product, or as I said earlier, early access to a new product range or something. How special do you feel if a company gives you first look access at their product range or something like that? It's
Can you imagine? They don't even have to do this, I know, but imagine how well it would do for Apple, like someone like Apple, if they said, I reckon they could sell that. I absolutely reckon they could sell that.
100% think they could. Yeah, imagine if you were in that club.
Yeah, so it wouldn't even be a loyalty scheme, actually. Yeah, it would just be something they'd sell. They could charge. It'd be something insane, probably like £1,000 a year.
Honestly, people would pay it,
and you'd be first in line for any new product they do. You get it a month in advance or something.
Oh, it would be huge.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. So bad example because Apple could sell that that version, but like if you get into the top tier of the loyalty program, you get exclusive events or early access to new product lines, or even just exclusive products, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to the surprise and delight piece, a lot of people do kind of surprise products in their top tier. So you get a free gift every month that you don't know what it is until it arrives, things like that. Yeah,
I think actually Gusto did this for me a while ago. I don't know if I imagine they just sent it to everyone, but I got a wooden spoon with my box.
Oh, brilliant.
And it seems like quite a good quality one. And it's really good. And it's the one that I just go to by default now.
Fantastic. So they're top of mind every time you make your dinner.
And yeah, I mean, literally, I will open the drawer and look for that one specifically.
That's fantastic.
And I always will remember that it was Gusto that sent that to me.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk for hours on the unboxing experience, even though it's not that linked to loyalty, really. I think doing something like that, or I ordered something the other day and it came and the receipt was part of a poster. It was on the back of a really beautiful poster. I wasn't expecting it. And although I don't have a clue where I'm going to put this poster, I just was really happily surprised, you know?
Yeah. It's just doing things a little bit differently. I suppose it's like, they've taken that opportunity. They've got to send you something that you will probably throw away pretty quickly. If anything like me, it's really bad. I should hold on to receipts for at least a little bit. But and it's the same. I know we're going a little bit off topic, but it's the same with like order confirmation emails. It's something you have to send out, and obviously, if people aren't opted into marketing, you have to be careful what else you put in there. But it's a great opportunity to brand it up, show off your brand values and stuff, and make it a more engaging email than one that is literally like a grey email with a table outlining what you've purchased, which is what most brands do.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. There's so much you could be putting in. If the person's not already a member of your program, use that email to sell the benefits of your program and try and get them signed up. Tell them how many points they've missed out on by not signing up. Tell them, because actually you can set things up so that if they go back and create an account, they won't just get the points for creating an account, they'll get the points for that order as well. You know, let them know what they've missed out on. And then, as you say, brand values. I think there's a few of our clients do this really well. 100% Pure is the one that comes to mind. Their welcome emails and their order confirmation emails and things are full of just really good information about why their products are 100% pure. They're completely organic, that kind of thing. It's just, it's a really missed opportunity. Those kind of transactional emails.
Yeah, absolutely. Just on the post-purchase, actually, I had an idea the other day because one of my clients has, they kind of detect whether you have an account with them. So on the first checkout page, you put your email address in right at the top, and then it will do a check. So if you've got an account, it will ask you to log in. And if you haven't got an account, I think it asks you if you want to create one or just continue as a guest. And I thought what you could do is if someone tries to log in because they've got an account but gets their password wrong, instead of asking someone to reset their password, which then sends them to their email inbox, which then causes problems with getting distracted and things, you could say, well, complete the purchase now, and then afterwards reset your password, verify your account, and we'll just assign that purchase to your account. So you kind of just you keep them in the flow, you keep the purchase, but then you could also add the loyalty part to it. And you can, if they're in the program, you say, don't worry, we'll add your points on the next step.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be brilliant.
And obviously, if they're not on the program, you say on the next page, by the way, join the loyalty program.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are there any big trends coming in the way businesses use loyalty schemes or how consumers want to interact with them? You know, what they want from a brand and points?
Yeah, I think there are a few things actually. And I think these have been accelerated slightly by the wonderful year that has been 2020. I think the first thing is we did some research recently, and I can't remember the percentage off the top of my head, but we found that during lockdown and the past 6 months, more and more shoppers have been making purchases based on their brand values than before COVID. So that kind of conscious consumerism is definitely becoming a trend, but we're seeing more and more brands working it into their loyalty programs. That's definitely a big trend. So a couple of examples, there's a pet food brand, Edgard & Cooper, and their program, the points are called belly rubs. So when you collect enough belly rubs, you can redeem them in a couple of different ways. The first one is just in return for money off your next purchase, if that's what you prefer, or you can donate it to a dog shelter, or you can use it to plant a tree. So they're making it really clear what they stand for as a brand, what they are passionate about, what they care about. And obviously most dog owners are very, very passionate about dogs. So the redemption rate for those belly rubs towards dog shelters is probably enormous, because they can see that the brand they're buying from is equally passionate about that cause, but also they can contribute to it really easily as well. Pacifica Beauty do something similar, where they offer points in return for recycling packaging from their brand. So again, you're literally getting rewarded for having the same shared values as them, and they're really clearly demonstrating through their program what those values are, which doesn't just help bring people to them and bring them through the door, but helps keep them coming back and shopping again as well. So I think that's a huge trend that's been big this year, but I think it's only going to get bigger, to be honest. And the other thing that we've really seen take off in the last few months is all around creating communities. So, we've talked a lot about loyalty being very much about building relationships, and where offline and online have always differed is, obviously online you're trying to replicate the store experience, aren't you? You're trying to replicate the experience of a shopkeeper being there and talking to you. And content is obviously one of the key things in your arsenal to do that as an online store. And for the first time, we're really seeing people do that well through their loyalty program. So they're creating these online communities and content hubs, but there's really exclusive special content for the loyalty program members. And we saw people doing things like virtual styling sessions. I think my favorite example is probably Astrid and Miu. They've built a content hub in the last few months that's phenomenal. It's got podcast recommendations. It's got playlists for different moods and different days. It's got interviews with their CEO. It's got, it's really clear from their content which causes they support, which charities, or that kind of thing. And it's just providing something outside of transactions. It's about more than just the sale. It's about building a community that people can feel a part of, where they can spend time with like-minded people, but all online and all virtually. So I think, that growth in using content to create a community, but also to create a feeling of exclusivity. Like, I can join this community if I'm a program member, and by doing that, I'm also going to be able to access really special content. So we've got another beauty brand that's, members of their Facebook community, which is, I think, called their Insider Tribe or something like that. They actually get all this special beauty content that nobody else can access. How to use the products more successfully, how to get more out of different products, that kind of thing. So, I think it's all about, the two trends. It's all about showing what you believe in as a brand and showing how other people can align with you through your loyalty program, but then also creating a real community and using content as a mechanism to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you do it right, the loyalty program just generates all this user-generated content, which then can kind of power that community anyway. So if you can get someone who, let's say some that kind of cosmetics or something, someone who's on the loyalty scheme, and maybe, I don't know, maybe a bit of an influencer or something, or wants to be, and can do a little video on how they've used a certain product and the benefits they got from that and stuff. That's then content that can go into that kind of VIP community for everyone else to see.
Absolutely, yeah.
So again, like it's probably one of those things that sounds really complex and it's going to be a huge amount of work, but actually, if you set it up right, and if you've probably got the right business for it, it almost powers itself, and then you've just got to do a bit of moderating and stuff almost in the background.
Absolutely, and again, it comes back to tying in your different strategies. If social media is one of the tools that you're using as a brand, then use it to build a social media community. If influencer marketing is something that you're doing anyway, then think about how you can make an influencer give you some special content for an exclusive group of people, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I really like that, actually. Yeah, work out what some of the core channels you're using are. For example, like social media influencers, possibly in store. and seeing how you can link those up with the loyalty scheme to create that community.
Yeah, completely.
Generally, when it comes to marketing, do you have any pet peeves?
Such a good question. Probably many. I think the biggest thing that annoys me as a consumer and a marketer is misinformation. I think there's nothing more frustrating than when you click on a link and you expect one thing and you get sent something else, or you get an email with a really exciting subject line and then you open it and it's completely underwhelming. It's not what it promised at all. The content is either something completely different or just a whole lot more boring. There's just nothing more irritating because something's caught my eye. I've got excited about it and then I feel let down. So I think, in a world where consumers are getting a whole lot more savvy and probably less generous with their second chances as well. And we almost have a responsibility as marketers to make sure that whatever we're offering up is as compelling as the subject line or the ad copy or whatever we're using to get people in actually promises. And I think the other thing, and it's kind of linked to that, is when people don't give enough information for you to make a good decision. It could be there's not enough product information. It could be that you don't know how much the delivery fee is until you're halfway through the transaction. We're supposed to be making it as easy as possible for consumers. And if we don't, they'll go somewhere else in a heartbeat.
Yeah, definitely making sure information is there. It's so easy. It's not a technical thing. We're not asking you to build out some new features on the website to make sure the experience is better. It's literally just information.
Yeah.
But to your first point, actually, I had just that experience the other day, which really kind of wound me up because I thought this company was onto an amazing idea. I got an email which was, I don't know if it's early Black Friday deal or it was related to Black Friday, but it basically said, or the message I got from it was, if you buy one of these products in our kind of early Black Friday deal, if it is discounted on Black Friday, then you'll get the money back. So my impression was that you would probably pay full price, but knowing that if they discounted it on Black Friday, you get some money back. So that kind of works for me because it means I don't have to wait for Black Friday. So I don't have to wait another 2 weeks. And if it doesn't get discounted, then I would have waited 2 weeks for nothing, potentially. So anyway, I clicked through, had a look, got through to this kind of, not really a microsite anymore. I don't think we use those anymore, but kind of like a microsite for Black Friday. I filtered for the types of products I wanted, found the one I wanted, which had a big, incredible deal tag on it. And I looked at the price, but on the product page, the price wasn't crossed out with a sale price next to it, which is kind of what you expect from a sale. So I looked at the price and I thought, you've said it's an incredible deal, but it looks like this is full price. So what is the deal? I actually had to, because I was curious, because I was looking at this from a marketing point of view. I got on live chat with them and asked them about it, and they just said, "Oh yeah, that is the deal price." I thought, all right, okay, you haven't presented that very well. Had a quick look on Amazon, and it was the same price on Amazon. So it was like, well, is that if that really is your incredible Black Friday deal price, you're just behind Amazon. You're not you'll get
it a whole lot faster from Amazon as well, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. They kind of got me in with this promotion that sounded quite interesting, at least from a marketing point of view. And then I was just left disappointed, and I thought, I would just go to Amazon because they have a nice. They did exactly what I was expecting. They crossed out the RRP, put the new price, and next to it they have that, Amazon Prime, get it tomorrow tag. So as much as I think people should buy from, definitely buy from smaller companies, independents and things, Amazon just does it so well.
They do, and it is frustrating. A lot of the reason that Loyaltyline exists is literally to help people compete with Amazon. But Black Friday is a really interesting one as well, because there's some quite big brands out there like Allbirds who aren't discounting this year.
They're putting the price up, aren't they?
Yeah, and they're going to give the difference to a charity, I think. And it's one of those things because we try and actively discourage people not to get involved in price wars or to discount everything too heavily or to, cheapen the brand and stuff. But it's frustrating, the story that you just told. If they'd given you literally anything else with that price, whether it was the opportunity to earn points, whether it was the opportunity to go up a tier in a loyalty program or get something else back, you might have been inclined to pay it. They would have had something over Amazon that you were happy to engage in. The key factor is you won't always be able to avoid discounting. You won't always be able to compete with Amazon, certainly not on price, certainly not on logistics. So it's more about what can you do to make somebody want to choose you over convenience. What else can you offer them? And how do you make that as clear as possible?
Yeah, with things like loyalty programs, I suppose what you could do for Black Friday is offer, double or even triple points. If you offer double points every now and again through the year, then Black Friday, offer triple points.
Yeah.
And maybe even offer something unique for the loyalty program for Black Friday.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, again, whether it's early access to that sale or whether it's a slightly a different range or discounts on different things, or you can go down to a product level with points, but you can offer bonus points on different products and things like that.
Yeah. So you could target, I guess, if you wanted to, products that don't sell so well. You could even encourage purchases on full price items. So have some in your Black Friday sale, but then say, but you also get double points for any full price items you buy.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly that.
I was just going to say, and for those brands that actually are building up that loyalty with people, people will do that because they'll want the loyalty points.
Yes, exactly. They'll see that balance accruing. And Black Friday, if you've got your loyalty program right, Black Friday is an opportunity for people to earn a bunch of points. That means they'll come back in the new year.
Yeah, absolutely. When people also expect a lot of sales, because we have, I'm not sure what it's like in other countries actually, but now we have Black Friday, don't we? Because it's come over from America the last few years. Then we have Boxing Day sales, which for anyone non-UK is immediately the day after Christmas. Yeah. Although even that started before, hasn't it?
Well, I think basically
early Boxing Day sales.
Now you just have November, December, and January. I think.
Yeah, pretty much.
One long slog, really, where consumers are expecting discounts, and I really admire brands like Allbirds who are breaking away from it. And I think we've got unfortunately a long, long way to go before every brand feels that they can do that and reverse this trend slightly. And I completely appreciate that it's a huge time of year and people do extremely well out of it. But I just love to see people using it in a slightly more long-term way. So making sure that any new customers you get through the door on Black Friday, what are you doing to keep them? And any customers that were at risk before Black Friday, what did you do to engage them before the event so that they came back again? And that kind of thing, just a slightly longer term perspective on the holiday period.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you are going to discount on Black Friday, just make sure you've got a plan for actually retaining these people and trying to engage them and get long-term value from them.
Exactly.
I think too many businesses still focus on acquisition and then assume that once the first acquisition has happened, people just come back. Mm-hmm. Or I guess if they don't like the brands, they'll never come back. But if they are happy, they will just come back on their own the next time they want that sort of product. And it's obviously just not that simple.
Unfortunately not. And again, there's a really interesting dynamic between product search and brand search there. A lot of the time we Google something, we find a brand and we buy it because that was maybe the first thing that came up or the best price. And you often don't even remember which brand you bought from. And that's so dangerous because, if someone doesn't remember that, then their next search is going to be a product search as well. They're never going to make that jump to a brand search unless they have an amazing experience on your site. They get an amazing post-purchase email. They become part of your loyalty program,
Yeah, exactly. It just reminded me of the conversation I had in a previous episode about like brand activation events. And you get this a lot in B2B conferences as well. Lots of people will have their stands and they will have something gimmicky at their stand. And the big difference is the ones that build that brand engagement and that you really remember as being part of that brand. And you just found it engaging and it made you want to interact with that brand more. And then the other ones who just have like a bar or a food stand or something, And you might remember that was there at the event, but you'll have no idea which brand was responsible for it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So just finally, what do you think is the most underrated aspect of marketing at the moment?
Oh, that's a good question. I think people are the most underrated aspect of marketing. I think in the B2B world, you see CEOs and CMOs and everyone get wheeled out to talk and things like that. And you can put a face to the brand, but you very rarely get that in the e-commerce world. So obviously you do with some huge success stories like Gymshark. We all know who the founder of Gymshark is, who, great garage to huge company story. But not every brand has that. And I think people like to buy from people. People connect with people. And, for example, Astrid and me on their Content Hub, I think I already mentioned it, they were profiling members of their team, like the CEO. And it's nice to know who you're buying from. It's nice to see that story. It's nice, especially with these smaller independent brands. You want to know why that brand is something you should care about. And I think it's, nobody's selling that quite enough. I'd love to see every single store out there with an amazing About Us page that tells the story, not just of the brand, but the people behind the brand. We talk about content being storytelling so much in marketing now. And this human to human phrase that we're hearing quite a lot. But I don't think enough people are actually focusing on telling their stories and working their stories into the rest of their marketing. I think that's what people really buy into. I'd love to see a bit more of that.
Yeah, completely agree. You see an About Us page on pretty much every website, but that's a lot of the time, that's the only place you'll hear the story. It generally gets left out of emails. And I think one of the problems there is once a business gets to a certain size, the founder is no longer the person influencing certain aspects of marketing and things and content, and probably doesn't interact with a lot of the staff as much either. So those, the new people that come in, once a company gets over, 100 employees, maybe 200, the new people are less connected with the brand. And so that stuff starts to disappear.
Completely true. And I think I was having this conversation with the other day. There might be brands out there that do this and I just haven't seen it, but I'd love to see different parts of the business getting involved. So if you're in charge of product descriptions, or you're, maybe you're in charge of actually picking the products that go on the site, I want to know why you picked that product. Wouldn't it be great if that product manager had a little call out on the thing that says, we picked this because XYZ, it's really beautiful, or it comes from a handcrafted thing in such and such country. I don't know, maybe it's probably asking too much and it's probably not feasible, but I just think there's opportunities to get people involved at so many different points in that journey.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting idea. And you just reminded me of something. It might have been one of your colleagues that showed me this, actually. It was an online kind of cookie site, or cookie or cupcakes or something like that. It's food-based.
Yeah.
And I think when you clicked on a product, the product description started with, this is this person's favorite
brilliant,
or whatever, because of this. And I think it might have mentioned which department they're in or something. But then it kind of got into the normal description. So it was just their way of like kicking off the product description. Just kind of made you feel a bit closer to the brand.
Yeah,
and it was just more interesting.
You'd have me hook, line and sinker with something like that.
Yeah.
That's what would make me choose a brand over Amazon every time.
Yeah, it's just far more interesting, even if it's all written by one person. You never know. Maybe I'm just being a bit. Yeah, cool. All right, this been amazing stuff. I love it. Love loyalty schemes. I think they're so useful, and they're so valuable. Like you said, they're not just retention. They're really good at supporting all aspects of the business. If people want to connect with you, find out more, where should they go? What should they do?
Yeah, of course. So, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn anytime. Otherwise, you can find us over at loyaltyline.com. Check out our blog. We've got a whole lot of resources around retention. We've actually just released our latest Hall of Fame, which is a collection of our favorite loyalty programs. It's quite good for inspiration across different verticals, different types of loyalty tactics and things like that.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for having me.
While loyalty schemes can be great at driving immediate repeat business by providing a discount or points after a customer makes a few early interactions, the real value lies in the long-term engagement a loyalty scheme can drive. Rewarding people for engaging on social media, reward them for referring friends or for filling out their preferences and providing your business with more data to use to make their experience better. They get an immediate reward in points to use, but the long-term reward to them is personalized product recommendations and just generally a better experience with the brand. It's absolutely crucial that it's easy for customers to gain points and not just through purchasing, and that it's clear what value the customer will get from the loyalty scheme. If you make it difficult to get points, no one will make the effort. And if you can't explain the purpose of it, you'll put people off as well. If you'd like to learn more about loyalty schemes, you can get in touch with Fiona on LinkedIn or head over to loyaltylion.com. As usual, any other questions about the podcast, if you've got guest requests or feedback, it's will@customerswhoclick.com. Next up, I've got Laura Higgins on, who's going to talk to us about how brands can grow organically on Instagram. But until then, keep those customers clicking.